really tomorrow, yesterday, and today. Okay? I'm going to briefly cover tomorrow because most people, oh yeah, vision casting is about how you cast tomorrow. Where do you want to be? So I'm going to briefly touch on that, but then I'm going to spend the majority of my time talking about yesterday and today. So where will you be? Well, I think we can all follow the yellow brick road of all the examples we have in our business of people that are successful. Just this morning, I was talking with Mateo and talking about his Bentley, and I'm like, man, you're driving yourself a nice whip. That's nice. And then tomorrow, Benny Madrid's getting promoted. Well, if anybody's watching him on Instagram or anything like that, you know he's always got his Ferrari and his watch. That seems to be his thing, his Ferrari and his watch. So you know he's doing pretty good in life. Just recently, I was hanging out at Brendan Fulkerson's house in South Florida, and his first home he buys when he's 30 years of age. It's a 5,000 square foot home. So I think we have plenty of examples that you guys can gravitate to as far as like, okay, where will we be tomorrow? Where will our crew be? Where will I be tomorrow? You got lots of guys that are doing some big things in the business. As far as our clients go and wowing our clients, I mean, who would have thought 10 years ago that we'd have clients paying us to staff stores to not sell anything? That's happening right now. It's called the roadshow business. We're not even selling anything. We're doing presentations in stores, and we have a whole new set of opportunities that are coming down the road for people. Or we started a new brand on our own called Connect Me Better, where we own the customer, and we can go back and sell that customer additional products. So, you can be very creative on how you paint the picture for where you're going to be tomorrow, and I would hope that this weekend you get some really good ideas, have some great conversations on how you can paint your picture for tomorrow. But that's tomorrow. Let's talk about yesterday. What's funny is this weekend we're talking about our 30-year anniversary. Well, really, from my perspective, it's 30 years since we've been a professional organization, okay, representing household brands, big name companies. That's been 30 years of that. But there is some history before the history. Okay? I was privileged years ago to have a great conversation with a guy by the name of Dave Fishman. And Dave Fishman started in our first office in Toronto in 1980. So you're doing your math here and you're like, Jimmy, that was around 45 years ago. I'm like, yeah, that's the history before the history. And so I'm like, Dave, tell me, first office. There's no other offices anywhere in the world, just the one office. Talk to me about it. What was the product? What were you selling? Well, we're selling pots and pans out of the trunks of our cars, okay, in parking lots. Biggest objection is, why would I pay $40 to you when I could buy the same pot or pan in the store for $20? Well, you're getting it from me today with a smile and enthusiasm. I mean, talk about selling yourself. That's what they had to do. That was their objection. It was half the price if you actually just walked to a store. Murray Reinhardt, the founder of the company, just picture this, all the leaders after a morning meeting push starting his car to get his car to start so they could all drive to the field to sell these pots and pans. That's just crazy. And so here's the point I really want to make about yesterday. We have so many examples and stories to promote. We don't sound like we're crazy when we vision cast because so many people have succeeded. Again, the Bentley, the Ferrari, you've got all these stories. You're meeting them this weekend. How did Murray do it back when there was no track record? Why did you, Dave Fishman, drop out of law school to join this business that seemed like a really low probability of success? I don't think a lot of people were betting on this going on to be a big business. And he thought about it. He was very thoughtful in his answer, and he gave me 3 answers. There were 3 things he came with. He says, Murray's secret sauce is he questioned conventional wisdom, number 1. In his heart, he didn't believe in the dream of go to school, get a good job, and live a good life. He believed we could all have more. Second thing, he was very confident in himself. Gary alluded to confidence. And the third thing is he backed up his words with actions. So how can we apply these old school examples from yesterday today? So I transition to today. In today's world, go to school, get good grades, get a good job, and live a good life seems a little outdated, doesn't it? I was just watching yesterday on the plane commencement speech from Conan O'Brien. Okay, I follow Conan O'Brien on Twitter. I think he's a pretty funny guy, and he says his opening remarks are very sarcastic. He's like, "Congratulations, class. You are part of the 92% that has separated themselves from the rest of the pack." Right? You know, you've got an advantage on the other 8% that, you know, did not go get a college diploma. And so it's kind of like, yeah, a little bit of sarcasm. I remember talking to my dad when he graduated from college. I'm like, what was it like for you? There were companies lining up to hire my dad. So that was good advice for that generation. Not so sure it's great advice today. I mean, is anybody concerned with AI and the industries and jobs that are going to be eliminated? Like this is a very popular topic in my household. My wife and I are transitioning into a new stage of our lives where for the next 11 years, seems like a long time, for the next 11 years, we're going to have a high schooler living under our roof. And so I want to get this right because I don't want to give outdated information when I was going to school and here's what you should take based on, you know, just, you know, what you like doing and what you're good at doing. Like we got to kind of think about AI. We got to think about hard skills. Hard skills are the specific skills that you can learn. And then the soft skills, the people skills, management skills, leadership, sales skills. Obviously, AI is going to have a much harder time attacking the soft skills, but the hard skills, man, AI is going after it. So just to use an example, again, I'm going to the example of like, Murray was very good at questioning conventional wisdom. What's the largest experiment, what's the largest AI experiment happening right now? All right, in my opinion, it's Tesla and the auto driving. Okay? So Elon Musk boasts that the auto drive of Tesla is way safer than human driving. He claims that self-driving systems are safer than human drivers, citing data and suggests autopilot is 10 times safer than US averages without autopilot. For example, in 2022, Tesla drivers using autopilot on highways averaged 0.18 crashes per million miles, compared to the national average of 1.53 crashes per million miles for human drivers. So earlier this year, I had to go through hernia surgery, or I'll spare you the details, and I was asked by the surgeon if I wanted the surgeon to perform the surgery or a robot. First time I was asked that question, I opted with the robot. Now that may seem a little risky today, 2024. Jamie, a robot? Don't you want the... No, the human was still kind of behind the robot, supervising the robot to make sure it didn't cut me in half and all this other stuff, right? But 10 years from now, I don't think it's going to be so abnormal. Like, who are you going to want? The human surgeon that maybe had a late night last night, maybe drank a few too many glasses of wine, or the robot who's fresh and ready to go? Right? Elon Musk also, back to Elon, he thinks that the unemployment rate in the United States is going to spike to 50%. Okay, I know the stock market's going a little bonkers today, so buckle up here, Buttercup, right? We're in for a bumpy ride. But he thinks it's going to spike to 50% when AI is fully embraced. And so many politicians, it's not abnormal for you guys to hear politicians talk about a universal base income, and you're going to hear more and more talking about that because they need to somehow prepare for super high unemployment rates. So I think we should all question the advice of the previous generation that's giving this young generation. And not only should we question conventional wisdom, but we need to know how to articulate it. And that's something that Murray was very good at back then. To the second point of Murray's advice, are you confident in yourself? Well, I've been coaching Little League baseball and flag football for almost a decade now. And every year I start the season off with a chicken and egg question for all the kids. You know, and hey, what comes first, confidence or competence? Now, I'm not the coach who's going to be the cheerleader for the kids. I look at it like manipulating the kids. If I got some kid that sucks who's at bat, and I'm the coach, you can do it. Well, He's never done it. Why would you say that to the kid? You can do it, right? What movie was that? That was the Waterboy, right? I don't play Waterboy. I believe competence comes first, and then the confidence will follow. And I remember I had this kid years ago who, listen, we put him he was always the last batter because he always struck out. He's swinging at balls that he shouldn't be swinging at. Every baseball bat we put in his hands was too heavy. And so he eventually figured out after the team was riding him a little bit, like, oh, so-and-so's up to bat, because we know if we can get him on base, we're back to the top of the order and we're going to have ourselves a great inning here. And he gets up to bat and he figured out that, you know what, if you get hit by a pitch, it's as good as a hit. And so he's leaning into these balls, right? And he gets on base. He's taking some hits. He's willing to throw his body out there. And he's getting on base. And our dugout's getting a little rowdy. Like, yeah, and we're back to the top of the order. But I pull him aside because, listen, I'm a good guy. Right? I don't know if I have to tell you guys. I'm a good guy. I don't want this kid growing up thinking this is what baseball's all about. Like, oh, yeah. Hey, guess what, Grandma and Grandpa? I got the winning, bean. And I got bean a couple times. We won. So I pulled him aside and I say, look, I like how tough you are. I want to start off with a compliment, a genuine compliment. I mean, there's competence in his toughness. There's lots of kids on the team that can't handle getting hit by a ball. You can. And I like that about you. And I like your winning spirit. I like that you're willing, you're not pulling the wool over anybody's eyes. You're leaning into strikes, getting hit by a ball, and you're getting called to first base. In the next league, they might actually call that a strike, but for now, you're getting a free base. I said, we don't want you getting on base like that anymore. Now, it's clear that this bat's a little heavy, and I get it that you're striking up, but you know what we're going to work on? We're going to work on the bunt. You obviously have good eyes. You see the ball well enough to put your shoulder in at the right spot. So if you can put your shoulder at the right spot, maybe you can put the bat at the right spot and get a nice little ding, and you run like a crazy man to first base. So just picture this. He gets his first bunt, runs to first, our dugout goes crazy, and then as the season goes on, this kid's not afraid to swing the bat. He's getting on base, he's taking hits, but he's no longer the guy looking to get hit by the ball. Okay? Competence comes first, and then confidence comes second. In my math. I mean, when I read How to Win Friends and Influence People, probably the most popular book read in our business. From my understanding, it's the second most popular book ever written. Number one is the Bible. How to Win Friends and Influence People is number two. And there's a quote at the end of the book that has always stuck with me. And Dale Carnegie says, the way to develop self-confidence is to do the thing you fear to do and get a record of successes under your belt. I take that quote to heart. So what do we got to get good at? Well, I want to get good at selling. I want to get good at training. I want to get good at public speaking. I want to get good at running a campaign. So I got to get out there and I got to try. I at least have to make attempts. I've got to try. I might botch it, but I got to get back up onto the next one. And eventually I'm going to start seeing successes. I know how it works for you as it did for me. With every yes that I heard in the field, I got more and more confident. I want to hear some yeses. I need some successes under my belt, and then after a while, I'm a walking piece of confidence. Which leads me to the third and the final point for today. Right, back to Murray's wisdom from yesterday. Take action. Make decisions. A popular quote in my household that my kids have been hearing me say for years is, the road of life is littered with flattened squirrels that simply couldn't make a decision. You just picture that gory picture in your mind. Just make a decision, squirrel. Cross or not cross, but an indecision means death. Jeff Bezos, I came across this the other day. He said, stress primarily comes from not taking action over something that you can have some control over. Stress comes from ignoring things that you shouldn't be ignoring. Take action, reflect, learn and grow, and repeat. Just keep trying. So dream about tomorrow. Okay, when vision casting, dream about tomorrow. This weekend, you're going to get some great nuggets for how you can dream. And again, you're not going to sound crazy. This path has been walked several times. learn from yesterday and give it your all today. This is how you vision cast. So thank you very much. You guys